Welcome back to another episode of the Cody Tucker Show. As always, I'm your host, Cody Tucker. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, the one and only Mr. Ralph Sutton. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Dude, it's going, man. Texas is getting hot as shit, so this is like pretty much worst time of the year for a big bastard such as myself.
What part of Texas are you in?
I'm in East Texas, a small ass city called Longview.
Okay, so when you say hot, are we talking plus 100?
Not yet. It's getting there. Like right now, we're at about 98. So.
Ugh. The worst I've ever experienced was in Vegas, but as they always say, it's drier, so it's not as bad. But it
Yeah,
was 118, and that was
fuck,
awful. Oh my God. It was when
dude.
my business partner at Gas had, this is years ago, he had his fight in Vegas against, I forget who, some other comic, and Bisbing was his corner man. This is like
Yeah.
probably 7 years ago. And the
Okay.
pool was 118 degrees. It was insanely hot. I felt like my
Yeah.
sandals were melting into the sidewalk. Like it was crazy.
Jesus. Yeah. Wait, who was it that was fighting? Was it?
I don't remember. Lewis
Oh,
and
okay.
some other
It was
dude.
Lewis. Okay, that's what I was wondering because
Yeah.
I had so Jason Ellis was on like right before he
That was a
fought
different one. That was
Jason Ellis,
after.
but yeah, I was thinking that seemed
Jason
more
was the
recent.
headliner on that one, but
Okay.
Lewis was fighting. It was Ellis Mania, but
Yes.
Lewis
Yeah.
was an undercard, and I forgot who he fought. I don't
Okay.
remember. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude. No, I mean Vegas. So like, I like the dry. I'm a sweaty individual. If
Yeah,
you
me
can't
too. I run.
probably
So
already tell, but
here's
yeah.
what I've learned, by the way, and I don't know if you know this for yourself. And I don't even. By the way, it's anecdotal, and maybe I'm full of shit, but for me, it's what I found.
Yeah.
I temperature wise, if you take my temperature, I run cold. I'm constantly about a 96 is what my
Okay.
temperature is, right?
Uh-huh.
So that to me means I am closer to outside temperature. So thereby, cold doesn't bother me that much because I'm a little more closer to that. Hot
Mhm.
drives me crazy because it's far more of a difference for me than the person that's running 98.6. So I don't do well in the heat. I am much more
Yeah.
comfortable in the cold. Cold doesn't bother me. I fucking hate the heat.
Oh, dude, man, we are on the same wavelength, I think, dude.
So why are you in fucking Texas?
It is a great question. I mean, one is, I was born here and that,
Right.
so that takes up the first 18 years. Uh, the last 12, not really sure what's kept me what's kept me here. Like I'll never get used to this bullshit. And it I don't know. It's part of me kind of likes having things to complain about, which I don't know.
Are you part
Uh
Jewish? Because that's me. That's who
well,
I am. So maybe that's what we
yeah,
do.
I often wonder if there's a little Ashkenazi in there
Yeah,
somewhere.
probably. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never done the 23andMe because I really feel like they're up to no good
I
with
also
all
feel
that
it's
stuff.
bullshit. There's stories about that where one guy put
Yes.
the two stories I heard was, and also supposedly he's gotten better now. So what the fuck do I know? But the two stories I heard was one, a guy put in dog saliva and it didn't raise any flags. And then the other story I heard is they put in the same saliva with different information and got different answers. So for
Yes.
that reason, I don't know. I've done it. It came back 100% what I thought I was, but
Okay.
it's still maybe they just looked me up online and said, okay, we'll tell him he's this.
Yes, I know because there's like what 23andMe, then I think Ancestry does one
Yeah.
maybe, and I know people who have like done both and
Mhm.
put in the exact same information. They just are sending them two different places and get completely different results. And when you look at like what they base it on, it's like migratory patterns of humans.
Right.
Like it doesn't mean
It's
shit.
a
Like,
good it was a good selling thing, but I think that both of
oh
them are
yeah,
not doing as well now. But what's funny about my 23andMe report, it said that I had genetic markers for an elite athlete. And I was like, wow, I made a fucking left turn somewhere
hell yeah.
because that's not good.
Well, I mean, you run like every
Yeah,
damn
but
day. It
I'm
seems.
no one's looking at me and saying, look at that elite athlete run by.
That is well, yeah, yeah, well, we probably have that in common as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you used to be like kind of a big fella, right? I mean, you're
So
still tall for sure, but like, didn't you used to be like I feel like you used to be
I
like,
was. So well, I was always in decent shape, like never
yeah,
great shape, but in pretty decent shape until my father passed away when I was
okay,
46. So now about 9 years ago, and I gained a lot of weight out of depression, and then COVID hit, and I gained even more weight. And I always will say that I don't even know what my maximum density was because the
mhm,
most I saw on a scale was like 320 something, and I stopped
yeah,
weighing myself out of depression. And then when I started running again, and it's the funniest thing that I always say that it's weird that I'm quoting Dua Lipa, which is hilarious. But
All right.
When I don't know if you remember when she put out that video where she was dancing like shit, and then everybody made fun of her for not dancing well. So
Yeah.
then she hired a professional dance instructor, got to be a great dancer, and then put in her bad moves almost as a joke.
Uh-huh.
And she said in an interview once, "Oh, sometimes bullying works." So when I got really, really fat, I remember I did a couple of shows like as a guest, and I got so many DMs of like beige Shrek, fat fuck. Like I did Rude Jude show, and it got inundated with these fucking,
Yeah.
you know, horrible comments. And finally, like, yeah, I probably should do something about it. So when I was
Yeah.
50, during 2020, I started running, and I never ran before a day in my life until I was
Yeah.
50. And I was probably like 330, 340. I don't even know how much. Like, and
Dude,
now I'm like
yeah.
245, 250, something like that.
Really? How
Yeah.
tall? You're a tall fella,
I'm
ain't you?
almost 6'6". I'm 6'5" and a half, something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty tall. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, that's man. So, like, how often? I know you run like damn near every day, but like, do you set like a goal, like a
Yeah, I'm
yearly
definitely
goal
right
of
now.
like?
Well, I hurt my foot. Hilariously, I took, which I talked about on my podcast. My brother and I took my mom and her husband to.
Mhm.
I was calling it fat camp as a joke, but it's really like adult like health week somewhere.
Yeah.
Super regimented calories, super regimented time, no sugar, no salt, like no alcohol for a week. And I
Mhm.
fell running, which is already hilarious. I
Hell
also
yeah.
did a jazzercise class with my mom. It was
Goddamn.
four 80-year-old women, two 80-year-old men, and my brother and I. But made my mom happy. She's
Yeah.
77, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I fell, and I've not been running since because my foot is fucked up, and I'm going to a podiatrist this week. But
Yeah.
when I'm training for a half marathon, I build to about 30 miles a week, which is
Okay.
2, 6, 8, 12. 2, 6, 8, 12
Right.
every week,
Right.
those 4 runs. And then I run my half marathon. Then I'll pull back and then slowly build again. And I'm basically running a half marathon every other month.
Damn. That's quite a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
pretty
But
good
now
amount of
I
running.
feel better than I've ever felt,
Yeah.
so have more energy, sleeping better, breathing better. I
Yeah.
mean, I lost carrying around a small child. It's
Yes.
gone. So it
Yeah.
just changed everything.
Dude, mine's got like about teenage years, I had lost like a pretty good amount. I've always been a big old bastard.
How tall are you?
6'3".
Oh, yeah, you're a big dude
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I have recently started like eating better, exercising like quite a bit.
Mhm.
Went to the doctor expecting like he's gonna be like, damn man, you've lost so much weight. Like I'm so proud of you, blah blah blah. Which I don't know why I put that into my head.
Right.
He was gonna like, give me a hug or something like, and then I go and I'm still 395, and boy, would that almost made me
Yeah, but
want to
it
go
takes
lay
also,
down
by the
on
way,
a
it takes a while. Me, it was a
yeah
full year before anyone even noticed I was doing like lost weight. It was a year.
yeah.
And then so
God,
also,
that's
I
frustrating.
can always say I can say I'm a best-selling author because I put out a book on health
Yes.
and how to lose weight, and there's 4 words in the book, but I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
stand by it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I know. Like I've tried so many different little like, oh, here, keto diet, here's this, and it's all a bunch of bullshit.
It's all no, it's not bullshit.
Oh well, not yeah,
It's
not
all
bullshit, but
different
like
ways to the end result, which is my book says those four
yes.
words. Page 1, eat less. Page 2, work out more.
Ye
They're all different ways to do that.
yes. Yes.
Intermittent fasting, you're eliminating meals, so you're eliminating
Thing
the amount of mistakes you could make. So
right.
a bunch of small meals, you're doing the same thing. If you do, so
Yes.
it just do those two things and you'll make it. Like one of my friends who's struggling right now, I said, look, let's say you're eating a 10-ounce steak every night. Okay, fine. Don't change it. Have an 8-ounce steak every night. It's
Mhm.
going to make a difference over time because
Yes.
you're taking in that much less meat every day, that much
Yeah.
less calories every day. You'll see a difference.
Yeah. But boy, it is nice to take in calories.
Yeah, for
My
sure.
God.
I had fucking a full, like a giant cheesecake last night for no reason, just because I was
Oh
really in the
yeah.
mood for one. So what are
God
you going to do?
damn.
Once in a while, just don't make a habit out of it.
Boy, I tell you, man. I mean, a whole cheesecake sounds so good right
It was
now. Like,
delicious.
oh man, I'm about to bust my zipper in
And
half.
boy, was it
Jesus.
fun shitting that out later. That's what I'll tell you.
Oh, do you so New York City, I've never been to New York City.
Mhm.
Uh, too terrified, seen way too many movies. Uh, do you DoorDash everything? Because
No,
so
I
DoorDash is
made it.
not a thing here, really. I mean, it is, but not like
I made a deal with myself earlier last year. So it's been about a year, I think,
Mhm.
where I mean, once in a while I'll break it because no one's perfect, but either I'm going to cook or
Okay.
I go out to dinner because
Yeah.
a delivery is never good. It's never going to be as good as getting into the restaurant.
Right.
It just sucks. So I try to keep a decently stocked fridge and
Okay.
cook something, and I have a background in that, so I
Mhm.
like to cook. Jay always shits on me for making nice meals for myself, but it's one of my
Well,
joys.
I mean,
He
yeah.
plays video games, I make myself nice meals. Who's right or who's wrong? I don't fucking know. You know,
Yeah. See, because that's what I was kinda curious about is the ability to just have food sent
it's
to you,
too
which you've
easy.
always been able to, I mean, with,
Yeah.
like, pizza delivery and shit, but, like, to have anything sent to you at any time, I was wondering if that made it, like, more difficult for
It's
you,
much more.
but
There are times
yeah.
I'm sitting on my couch watching something stupid on TV, and I'm putting ice cream in and out of my cart for 20 minutes, trying to resist placing the order, and
Oh,
eventually
man.
it goes. If you resist, the craving desire dissipates, and you move
Yes.
on. And if you don't resist, you order it, and you feel like shit later. One or the other.
But, so I actually DoorDashed for, like, the first time a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
Never again. Never will I ever do that again. It was the most disgusting shit I've ever had, and it's from a restaurant I've been to multiple times, but I am not convinced that this son of a bitch didn't take about as soon as he walked out, take about 3 steps and just punt this damn to-go box.
But also, it's just nothing.
God.
Very, very few food travels well.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
just even if they bring everything perfectly, it's just
Right.
not going to be as good as when it comes out of the oven, and that's just
For
that's
sure.
why if you can cook. And also when you
That's
cook,
yeah.
you know what's going in it.
Yeah. That's what I do. I have like a kind of a weird not I don't know if it's hypochondria. I mean, it's just anxiety, I guess, in general. But I never trust restaurants to not like
Make
pour
you
like
good.
not okay. So I might actually take it a little more extreme. But sometimes I just think like, what if they just poured? What if somebody was upset and just poured like a bunch of poison onto this food?
Wow. Oh, you took it a whole
Yeah,
nother level.
yeah, I
That's a
know.
good level to have. That's
It's
kind of
not
cool.
well. I know, but it boy it
So you
it
never eat out, you cook all the time.
I will eat out because I will have that thought and then just be like, "God, Cody, you're a fucking idiot. Like,
Hmm.
nobody's poisoning your food. Like, you're not, a dictator or something." As much as I would like to be, but
Yeah. Wouldn't
yeah.
we all?
Oh, man. If you could make any food 0 calories, what would it be?
0 calories,
Yeah,
meaning, and you just mean like no impact on me,
yeah, no
right?
impact. Eat as much as you want. It's gonna do
It
nothing
would
for you.
probably be pasta. 'Cause I fucking love pasta, more so crave pasta more so than desserts, and so
Yes.
I try not to have it, but if
Yeah.
I could have unlimited pasta, that would make me happy.
Man, that's a great one. I mean, pizza's probably mine, but it's, same ballpark,
But
I
I
suppose.
figured out a way to make things taste almost like a good pizza, okay? So, like a
Okay.
cauliflower crust or
Yeah.
something that you can that it gives you almost the same feeling. I've not been able to
Okay.
really accomplish that with pasta. And with
Yeah.
desserts too, there are some
Yeah.
desserts that are like super healthy and yet
Mhm.
somehow somewhat enjoyable. But I've never found a pasta that either tastes great, like real pasta, or tastes like, oh, they're trying to make pasta and it's just not
Dude,
working.
let me tell you. So this company, I probably shouldn't say. I will. There's this company that sent me some like sample chocolates because they wanted me to like promote it or some
Hmm.
bullshit. Which I was like, all right. And it's supposed to be like a healthy chocolate. It's called Gatsby. Which
Okay. Funny.
yeah.
And
Anyways,
it ain't great. I
it
get
is horrible. And I mean, I'm probably gonna still do it because I'm a whore in many
it.
ways.
Aren't we
But
all? Yeah.
yeah, but the the just volcanic spewage afterwards, after eating this chocolate bar that I'm like 90% sure was made out of sawdust. It was oh man,
Well, what
healthy
I've learned
foods
from doing the health
well,
show is that
yeah,
so many of these alternative sugars are so much worse for you that it's just
yeah,
actually better to just fucking have sugar. It's
yeah,
better for you than that shit.
yeah. I see people so my thing isn't necessarily what I eat, it's the amount of it. Like, that's always been my issue, is, like, I eat way too fast and I eat so much goddamn
Well,
food.
the trick would be to move to less calorie dense food so that you could eat a shit ton of it. So if you
Yeah,
eat things that just are voluminous as
mhm,
opposed to densely caloric, you can get that feeling of eating a shit ton and
right.
not really doing that much damage to your body.
Yeah. Damn.
That's the trick. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
like when I was at this fat camp, right? Their
Uh-huh.
trick was because the portion was a 6-ounce protein. So like 6 ounces is fucking nothing.
Yeah,
And
it's
what's
so
stupid is
small.
I was getting the same amount of food as my 5'7" brother. It's like that
Uh-huh.
makes no fucking sense. I'm double you. It doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
their concession was, well, you can have as much salad as you want. So I'd have 3 bowls of salad. So at least I felt satiated. But
Yes.
so that's a way to do it.
Yeah. That is a good point. And a lot of times I just eat out of boredom. So
That's the
just
biggest
trying
one.
to
We all do that. And
yeah.
the best trick around that is don't fucking have snacks in your house. If
Yeah,
you have
which I don't.
snacks, you're going to snack.
Yeah, I have completely eliminated almost anything that sounds good. And I've
Ah.
just I've just been, like, cooking meals that are, like, bland
Yeah,
and
planning also helps. It
yes.
sucks, but planning helps. What am I going to eat tomorrow morning when I get up if I'm hungry? I
Yeah.
make stupid overnight oats now and leave them in the fridge and things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah.
just because I still need to lose more weight. I still know if I'm 70% there, great, but I still got 30% of the way to go.
Yeah.
So it's just like my first 50 pounds was a lot easier to lose than the next 50. And then these
Yeah.
last 20 are going to be even harder to lose because when you just have a lot of that extra weight, you can lose it quickly. So it's that I lost 20 pounds and no one noticed, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, when I quit drinking, I lost, like, 60 to 80 pounds
that'll do it too.
very quick.
Really,
Yeah.
the only day I drink is Wednesdays with Jay. That's really it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I quit maybe, like, 4 or 5 years ago. It
Mhm.
definitely helped, like
Are you still
'cause
sober?
oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I had a tendency to drink, like, I don't know, say 30 beers in a night,
Jesus
and
Christ. That's
then
like
be
Andre the Giant shit.
well, it was
He did
100.
118 beers once, right? I think that's what he
Yes. Yeah,
did.
or and, what's his name? Wade Boggs, the baseball
Oh, that's
player?
funny. Yeah, he's known for that too. Yeah, he did that at
On
Always
plane.
Sunny based it on that, right? Yeah, Always
Yes.
Sunny in
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it was, yeah, like, usually about a third. Which I found out that most states don't sell beer by the 30 pack, which is bizarre
Mhm,
to me, but Texas definitely does.
mhm.
So I'd knock down one of those and then go to Taco Bell and eat like
Jesus.
$20 worth of food. You're gonna gain some poundage.
I only learned this year that Taco Bell was named after a dude named Bell. That's why it's
Ye-
called Taco Bell. I didn't know
Isn't
that.
that incredible?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
John Bell, I think.
German chocolate cake is named after a dude named German. It's not German. The last name of the
Wait,
guy was German.
huh?
His
Is
last name was German. His name was
yeah, yeah.
actual
His last
John
name.
German,
So it
you
has
know?
nothing to do with Germany.
Nothing to do with Germany at all. Yeah.
Boy, that is one
Just
I
like,
did not know.
Pilates was invented by a guy named Joe Pilates. That's another one. It's so fucking
Is
not mystical. It's just some
yeah.
dude named Joe Pilates.
God, that's amazing. Or
There's
like
a bunch of those.
Like, Fanta, like the
The
Fanta
drink,
origins?
yeah.
I mean, do you know, like,
I
the
don't know
origin?
the answer. The origin.
So, whenever Coca-Cola like, during World War II, obviously, Coca-Cola making a ton of money selling Coca-Cola, like,
Mhm.
basically using soldiers as, like, spokesmen.
Right.
So, Coca-Cola has a plant in Germany. The embargo happens. They're about to get rid of it, shut everything down. They're like, "Uh-oh, like, we're about to lose all this money." So, they're like, "We need to basically make our own version because they can't ship the Coca-Cola like syrup to Germany
Okay.
anymore." So the head of that, like the German branch, who massive Nazi, obviously,
Mhm.
um, was like, okay, well, all we have left are these like fruity ass, syrups. So we need to just do something with those. It's the only way we're going to make our money back. And they're trying to like figure out, what to do with it, what to call it. He tells the people in the boardroom, just use your imagination, which in German is Fantasia, imagination, Fantasia. So that
Oh,
becomes
that's like
Fanta.
Fanta. Oh, that's the
Yeah.
same thing, like, the story behind Lexus where they were looking to come up with a name to ship, their, cars to America, and like, "We need a good name for luxury exports to the US." So it's like, "Oh, LEXUS, luxury exports to the US." That's Lexus.
Yeah, because isn't it like I mean, there's not much of a difference between a Lexus and a Toyota
No,
in
it's
in
for the beginning especially, it was just same car, just with a
right.
different branding, yeah,
God,
yeah.
that is incredible. It's like companies are so smart
Yeah,
with
it's
being
amazing
able
when you
to do
watch that
that.
show that got canceled, he did my show not that long ago, even though a lot of people don't like him, but the, Adam Ruins Everything,
Oh, Adam
right? Adam
Conover?
Conover, who's I liked him, but whatever. I get
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
Joe Rogan mega fans have a hard time with him. Whatever, it doesn't
yeah,
matter to me. I don't give a shit. But
yeah,
if you watch some of those episodes, you realize how much of our world is constructed because a corporation needed to make money in one way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Whether it's diamond rings, February 14th. I mean, so many things
Mm.
that come up, and you're like, oh, that's just because a corporation needed to figure out a way to make more money.
Yeah. Yeah. My
Even
God.
girls shaving their arms and shaving their legs was because Gillette saw that they were missing half the fucking audience, so they started making that a thing.
Really? So that
Yeah.
wasn't a thing before?
No, there's some are like here and there. There's some like
Yeah,
old evidence of women shaving, but
but it wasn't
who
like
knows
a
how it wasn't like it is now.
thing.
And that
Yeah,
was, I think it was Gillette that was the one that did it, but they just made it like, oh, women should shave.
that is amazing. I mean, yeah, if you ran a business, like, that's exactly what you should do.
Yeah. How
Just
do we
figure
get
out a
every
way
segment?
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, God. Yeah, I actually really liked his show, Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and I
loved
know
it.
what you
I
mean,
loved
like,
it.
people,
Yeah.
feel a certain way about him, but, yeah, anything like that is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Like, I
Also, I
love.
give him credit because he's actually like does the research.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cares whether and like look it's very easy to believe in free speech when you believe in the speech that's being said. When you don't believe in it, it's harder, and it's even
Yes,
harder to stay friends with that person.
right,
So I don't necessarily have to believe in everything that comes out of his mouth, but I appreciate what he
right.
does.
That's always kind of been, like, so I have pretty strong opinions when it comes to music and movies.
Mhm.
There's, like, the 2 things I probably care about the
Yeah,
most.
based on the posters behind you, I get it.
Thank you. Yes, and so I used to just, like, hate anyone's opinion that wasn't the same as mine.
Right. I mean,
Like,
that's
"Oh,
that's America. Welcome to America,
yeah,
right?
yeah, amen." And so, like, if somebody told me they didn't like, Apocalypse Now, I would
Mhm.
say, "How do you exist as a person?
That's
Because
funny. Yeah.
that's impossible." But then the more I, get older and think about
Yeah.
it, the more you're like, "Okay, I can hate certain movies." Like, I hate Marvel movies, hate them,
Mhm. I
hate
love
superhero
most of
movies,
them, but I get it. Yeah, it's fine.
but,
I understand why people would hate them, but I
right.
love them. Yeah.
Like, the whole Scorsese thing of him saying, like, "Oh, it's basically an amusement park ride."
Yeah.
I was like, Damn, that
It
actually
is
sums it up
100% that. It's popcorn
100%."
fodder. It's all it is, but it does mean I
And
can enjoy it. Yeah.
I hate amusement parks.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
it goes into that same field, but I used to just, like, shit on people who liked them, and then
Right.
realize, "Hey, these movies make a ton of money. People love them. What does it matter? I don't
Right.
have to watch them. I could just sit my fat ass down and watch Apocalypse Now for the 100th time and pretend that I'm
When
Marlon Brando," which
as
is usually what I do.
a single man who very openly goes on plenty of dates, when I was younger, I would get pissed off if the girl ordered a filet mignon well done. I like, what the
Oh,
fuck are you doing?
well,
It would
that'll
really bother
yeah.
me. Or I would shit a lot on musical taste. That was a big thing.
Yeah,
But all art is fucking subjective, whether it's food or music or movies or
yeah,
painting. It's so subjective. Who the fuck am I to say my opinion is more valid than anyone else's opinion on the planet? It makes no fucking sense. And
yes.
then for a while, it just becomes also trendy. The Nickelback effect. Everyone loved Nickelback until
Yeah,
everyone hated Nickelback. They sold
yeah,
100 million records, and then all of a sudden they're horrible. Like
right.
that makes no
Yeah,
fucking sense.
yeah, who bought those records
Yeah,
if
100
everybody
million.
hated
It
them?
was number one everywhere, selling out everywhere. Then all of a sudden, same thing with what was it, guys? Ah,
Creed?
somebody won't tell me that.
Oh, Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth.
Yeah,
They also became like the joke, and the guy I
yes.
think he died, which is sad
Yeah,
because
Steve Harwell.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they were huge for a while. It just
Oh, yeah,
becomes trendy to shit on things. So
yeah.
now,
Sugar Ray.
well, Marvel put out a couple real stinker movies lately, at least
Yeah.
from my opinion. So I get why it's become all of a sudden like everyone's shitting on it. And even at its height, I would never say, "Oh, go see the cinematic masterpiece that is Avengers." It's like, "Oh, if you want to just go have fun,
Yeah.
stupid, not think about anything, popcorn feeding fun,
Yes.
go to see a Marvel movie."
Yes. Which I yeah, the music taste, that one gets me because I definitely
Oh, I
used to
don't
do that
care.
a
I don't
lot.
give a shit.
And
I don't.
yeah, and
Yeah.
well, now I'm just more interested why people like certain things. Like, instead of judging them, being like, "Oh, you
Mhm,
have shitty taste and you suck," I like, if somebody tells me they like a band that I hate,
mhm,
Aerosmith. I hate
yeah,
Aerosmith. Don't know why. I know that, but I just ask them, like, "Why do you like Aerosmith?" And not in a condescending way. I'm just
mhm.
like, I'm curious, like, what it is that you like about them.
Well, I do love Aerosmith, by the way, but and I'll tell you one that's going to piss you off. I appreciate them as musicians.
Okay.
Could never get past his voice. Never loved Rush, and that's right over your right shoulder, right? But I
Okay.
will tell you this: is that
Yeah.
especially in doing my health podcast, I've learned a lot about this, which is that obviously we've said this a few times, everything is subjective, but
Mhm.
so much so that like you and I will both say that this little thing here, this watch is black, right? That's a
Yes.
black band. But what your brain processes as the color black and
Mhm.
I process as the color in our brains, they may look completely different. We just both know that it's black, right?
Right.
So that's wild. Our universes are subjective. There's no such thing as an objective
Yeah.
reality, right?
Yes.
So the way I hear a song is going to be different than the way you hear a song.
Exactly.
So that is impossible to ever get somebody if your inner soul doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Any opinion in the world is not going to, it's going to be very difficult to change that because it's based on your however many years you've been on this earth, 30 something years.
Yeah.
um am I right, you're like your early
30.
30s? 30, okay.
30
Yeah,
exactly,
I'll
yeah.
say 31 or 32. Is It's your subjective reality, it's not going to fucking change.
Yeah. Oh, and well, I mean, and even our own realities change over
Yeah,
time for
for
sure.
sure.
Because like I used to there have definitely been bands that I've hated growing up that I
Mhm.
love now, or vice
That's cool.
versa. Like
Yeah, and that happens too. You grow out of things when you look back
yes.
and think about, wow, I can't believe even with food. There's a
Oh
great
yeah.
what's his name? Mark Norman joke that when he was a kid, he loved grape juice and hated wine. And now
Yeah.
he loves wine, but he also loves grape juice. And he uses that as an example as pedophiles, that they like 8-year-old girls when they were a kid, and now they're older and they don't like 8-year-old girls anymore. Like, it's lucky he grew out of the
Yeah.
first part. It's a good analogy because we
Yes.
do our tastes are always going to change. It's ever evolving.
What's is there one that comes to mind for you, like band wise or artist wise? Like a group, let's say that like you hated growing up that over time you're just like, damn,
Hmm.
like am I becoming like an old
Oh, I'll tell you the
man?
one that I hated, and then fell in love with later on in life
Okay.
was Iron Maiden. I couldn't get into Iron Maiden as a
Really?
kid. When I
Okay.
was like high school, first discovering rock and roll,
Yeah.
it was like too much for me. But then when I got into the
Gotcha.
radio show and in my 30s, they became one of my favorite bands. Like I fucking
Yeah.
love them. But
Yeah.
as a early teens, like when I first got to get into rock, I was about 16. I was hip hopping, before then because I
Uh-huh.
was hilariously a breakdancer. But once I got into rock, it was too
Yeah.
much for me. Those heavier bands, but Iron Maiden became one of my favorites as I got
Right.
older. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, a band like that is definitely a hell of a band to jump to
yeah,
early.
it's a lot coming into it,
Yeah.
coming out of fucking Poison, like
Yeah.
and
That's
and
understandable
yeah, it was like
for sure.
it was noise, and then you just
Yes.
it became more far more enjoyable. A lot of the heavier bands that I didn't embrace when I was younger, I got
Mhm.
much more of a love for as I got older.
Yeah. I to me it's I mean I've talked about it a few times with the Grateful Dead. Hated them. Never understood why people liked them.
I never got into them. I never got into them.
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. One day I was just like, I don't know. Saw something where people were talking about like, oh, their live albums are so much better than their studio albums, which to me is like, well, why the fuck are you even making studio albums?
Mm.
But so I was like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to one, see, and just give it one last chance. And boy, if it didn't just hook me in,
It's
and I
funny. I
don't know,
never none of those jam bands, be it Fish or
yeah,
Grateful Dead or a bunch of them, I could never get into. It. A little too freeform for me. I don't
yeah,
love jazz.
no, me either.
It's just not something I can embrace. It just
Yeah,
isn't me.
I don't know what it was. It just kinda got to me, and I was like, "Damn, maybe I'm softening up, as I'm turning 30 that now into the Grateful Dead." I mean, I've always been, like, into, like, Steely Dan and, some stuff like that that I guess
Mhm.
is jazz-esque, but
I
yeah,
love
it's
Boz Scaggs.
oh, man, Boss
I think
Scaggs
he's
is a great
jazzy a little bit, right? Somewhat,
oh,
right?
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, yacht rock.
Yeah, yacht
Yacht
rock for
rock
sure.
is a great genre and one that, as a fan of heavy metal, I am in no way ashamed to admit, like, I'm a huge Michael McDonald fan, like
Yeah, I think a lot of 80s metal fans embrace yacht rock. I mean, maybe they shit
yeah,
on it in the 80s, but
right,
now I think those anyone in their 40s and 40s and 50s, I think love the
yes.
genre of yacht rock.
Yeah, there's a thing that just happens, I guess, like, with age where yeah, I mean, like, because when you're younger, I mean, not everyone, but when you're younger, I think you're a lot more passionate about because you start finding things that are your own
You're
for the
trying to
first
carve
time.
your identity, so you have to take a
Exactly.
stance. I get it,
Yeah,
it is, but as you get older, it's not as polarizing. You're far
exactly.
more
So
open. You should be anyway, not necessarily, but
yeah,
ideally you become more open-minded.
yeah, like, and music kind of like means different things to you because you're
Yeah.
older and like, like you tend to be more idealistic when you're younger. So Like when I was in high school or whatever, big Bob Dylan fan. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, he's really, saying what needs to be said. And now I could give a fuck if I ever hear another
Now
Bob
you're like, I
Dylan
don't even know
song.
what he's saying.
Yeah. Like now I'm realizing he might just be completely full of shit
Yeah,
and just
well,
making and just saying a bunch of gibberish.
yeah, there
Which
was a great, who did that? Fuck. There was a somebody, oh, I think it might have been Key and Peele, I'm not sure. They just did,
Mhm.
like, bullshit lyrics, and they become, like,
Yeah.
a pop star, a real, like, star, because it's making up no
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
just sounding like Dylan.
God, I mean, that is kinda like I mean, I'm still a huge Jim Morrison, Doors fan, but a lot of his stuff's a bunch of gibberish as
Yeah.
well, but when I was 16, I was like, "Man, this guy is an actual poet."
We
And then
were fortunate to have, the guitarist of The Doors,
oh, bro.
Robbie, on,
Yeah,
SDR, and I had asked him that, like, was there a time during that heyday where you're looking at some of these lyrics and you're like, "Dude, what the fuck does this even mean?" And he goes, "Well, we just kinda let him do his thing. We kinda never really made sense to us, but it made sense to him, so, yeah."
dude, he's Jim Morrison is like I don't even know how to explain it to me, like, without sounding super kinda weird, but man, that is like just like a folk hero to me.
Yeah, but also because he died young, same
Well,
thing with
yeah,
Nirvana. A lot of these bands, when they didn't get a chance to fuck up or become a joke or become
yeah.
ridiculous or put out a stinker of a record, I think that the mythos of their
Mm,
existence just gets, exponentially grown
true.
because they never had the chance. Like, if Jim Morrison was a fat 80-year-old guy now that tried 7 comebacks and can't sing and,
Yeah,
shit on stage once or twice and, you know,
yeah,
the Doors would not be this fucking thing that they are, at least I
right.
think.
I think
People seem to forget
yeah,
that Nirvana record with Heart-Shaped Box, it wasn't selling great.
In
And then he
utero.
died, and then it was like, in utero, it was like, "Oh, these are all masterpieces,"
Yeah,
so it is just,
right.
it is what it is.
Yeah, that is a good point too. Because actually in the last couple of Doors, like or not couple, but at least the last, like, Doors album, like, Waiting for the Sun, there's a few that were just like, "These aren't that good."
Right.
Like, yeah, it
Whereas
is interesting.
Zeppelin, they did it smart because they never reunited,
Yeah,
so
not in any, like, substantial
yeah, not in any
way. I
substantial
mean,
way, and
yeah.
he won't sing a lot of those songs and whatever, but
Mhm.
that also helps to keep the mysticism alive because they never
Yes.
had a failure half-sold tour that nobody went to, and
Yeah.
he can't sing, and they show up late or whatever the fuck,
Yeah, or embarrass themselves at a Super Bowl halftime show like The
Yeah.
Who. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Or Guns N' Roses, who I was one of my favorite bands, but
yeah.
their mythical status has diluted, where
Yes.
people are shitting on the new songs that come out, and the
Mhm.
attendance is waning because there's only so long
Right.
nobody has an infinite life where they look and sound great, except
Yeah.
maybe David Bowie, who made it to the end looking great.
Yeah, I think David Bowie's the only to me, that's a very good point. David Bowie is about the only exception because he changed David Bowie is 6 different David Bowie.
Yeah, yeah, and he
So,
stayed cool. He fucking stayed cool. I don't know
yeah.
how he did it, but he stayed cool.
Lou Reed to an extent, I mean, Lou Reed kinda
Yeah.
turned into just a crabby old man too, but
Yeah.
he still kinda had that, like, mythical sense of like, "Oh,
Yeah,
shit, that's Lou
there's
Reed."
some that did it,
Yeah.
but and I'm not talking about guys that died too young, like Ronnie James Dio was cool till he passed away,
Well,
but
yeah.
he did die young,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
or youngish, depending on how
Yeah,
you wanna look at it, but
Lemmy to an
yeah.
extent. I mean, he
Lemmy
was
too, but Lemmy,
up
like, that
there a
doc on
little.
him was kinda sad when you saw him, like, it's just
Yeah.
depressing, that was
Yeah.
depressing, and
I
I
think
love Lemmy. I have the
yeah.
honor I'm the only person that can say this. When they had their 40th anniversary, I was hosting the Motorhead cruise, which was a crazy it was Motorhead, Testament, Anthrax, Slayer. It
Jesus.
was like a crazy lineup. There was a pseudo Pantera reunion on there. It was
Uh-huh.
fucking great.
Damn.
And they had their 40th anniversary of the band. So the label gave me like a cake and a plaque. And I was
Uh,
the host. So I walked down on stage and gave Lemmy on stage this plaque. And so I'm the only person on the planet that has that memory, which is great.
oh, man. That's amazing. There's, like, a handful of people where I'm, like, so bummed that they're dead because I wanted to, like, have met them at
Yeah, I
some
mean, Chris
point.
Cornell's one of them. I would have fucking loved to have met Chris.
Eddie Van
Fucking
Halen's my
Eddie Van
number
Halen,
1, I
yeah.
think.
I
Like,
used to hang out with David Lee Roth, which is hilarious. When I was a strip
Jesus
club
Christ.
DJ, it happened like 3 times where he would come into the, strip club with Nile Rodgers, And then when he was producing Niles producing his album,
Yeah.
and he would just come into the fucking DJ with and tell me Van Halen stories. It was wild.
That's David Lee Roth actually kinda has that feeling too, of like the mythical feeling, except like now it's almost
Not
like
now.
now he's mythical the way that like Rumpelstiltskin is mythical,
Maybe.
or like a bridge troll where
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
like
It really is sad.
terrified that yeah,
One of my friends sends me his newest posts every now and then where he's dancing around like a lunatic. I give him
it's
credit in a
amazing.
way. It's like he's kind of doing what he used to do. It just
Yes.
looked cool when you were this great looking 20-year-old, you know?
That is one of the things about like where it has to be hard to be a rock star and an aging rock star
Yeah.
is making that transition. So like I saw Marilyn Manson in concert a couple of years ago, and above Jim Morrison, Marilyn Manson is like my childhood hero,
Mhm.
which I think like old Big J kind of
Oh, love.
shares the
Yeah.
same sentiment.
Yeah.
But it just obsessed with him growing up. And I went to see him a couple of years ago, and boy, did it
It's
let me
sad.
down. And he was doing like the same stuff, like he was like cutting himself on stage, ripping a Bible, like lighting a Bible on
Yeah.
fire and shit. That in 1999, 2000 would have been so cool to have seen. It ain't that cool when you're
I'll
50
tell you
years
who
old.
does it right because they embrace the humor of it now is Alice Cooper. So Alice
Yes,
Cooper does the same stuff, but he's doing it with levity. So
right.
people are in on the joke with him. Like he's a 70-something-year-old guy cutting heads off his stuff.
Mhm.
Where Marilyn Manson is trying to do it with like, no, this is my artistic expression, and
Yeah.
you should be scared of this, you know.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
doesn't work. It would work if he could be self-deprecating and realize that it's a little ridiculous now that he's doing this at this age, and
Yeah.
then it would be cool. But it's not.
Yes. Yeah, I I don't know. It's like I don't think that guy has the ability to be very
Well,
self-deprecating.
I mean, I
I
don't know
mean,
how much
maybe
you
I'm
listen to
wrong.
the show, but my ex-girlfriend used to date him. So
Okay,
before
yeah.
me, so he would call the house for a time when they were still friends. They're still friends to this day,
Mhm.
and she let me in on some inside stuff when the Rachel Evan Woods, whatever her name is,
Evan
trial.
Rachel
So
Woods, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
there was she was going to be a character witness for Brian for Manson, and there's he does take himself fucking super seriously.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. It's like I get it when you are 20 something, but you need to see the just like you were saying about Dylan, like as you get older, you need to see that maybe there's more to life than cutting yourself on stage and wanting everyone to be awestruck at how badass you are. You need to make it a little more fun now.
Yeah. He was also I mean, he did the stilts thing,
Hmm.
like he used
Yeah.
to, with
The
Beautiful People.
spider dead walking thing, whatever you call
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
except this time the stilts were about 2.5 feet off the ground, which is real embarrassing.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
funny. It's funny.
yeah, I was man, it was a letdown, but also, I mean, whatever, it's still Marilyn Manson to me.
Yeah,
He's
yeah. I
Marilyn
I
Manson
wish
to
he
me
would,
forever.
again, if he did what Bowie did, which is change your look a little bit, don't
Ah,
hold on to the past,
would have been
modernize a
incredible.
little bit. He still puts out pretty good music. I like
Very good, I
what I've
think,
heard, I've
yes.
liked. So I just think he
Yeah.
needs to update, it's all.
Is there any like, if you could go back in time and see anybody, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. But whatever. If you can go back in time, see anybody in their prime, who would it be?
Well, it's a story I've told a couple times because I'm so mad at myself because this was 1986 or 87, I think
Mhm.
86. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, there's this band, there's got a lot of heat on them. I'm gonna go tonight. Do you wanna go?" And I'm like, well, whoever the fuck I'll see them when they're around. Like whatever, they didn't want to go. And it was the quintessential Guns N' Roses show before they were big,
Damn.
at the
Oh,
ballroom
yeah.
where the video was made and all that, whatever,
Right.
all that stuff.
Okay.
Like it was before they hit, before that album got signed, before the first album got
Mhm.
released. And I would go back to that moment because it bothers me that I said no, just like
Dang.
20 years later, 30 years later, whatever it is, when Patrice O'Neill had done a couple of the roasts, this is before
Mhm.
I knew Jay, before I knew any of those comedians. My brother and I loved him on those roasts. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, and I saw that he was playing at Caroline's. I said to my brother, Joe, we should go see this guy. We love him. He's fucking funny. And Joe goes, well, we'll see him next time he comes around. And he died,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
just, it sucks. So that's why now I try and see if an experience comes along that
Mhm.
sounds interesting, even remotely interesting. I try and fucking go do it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that is definitely the way to live. If you have the ability to do it,
Yeah.
to just say yes to stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
going to a show on Thursday that I'm not even dying to see, but my friend, I even know the band 100%, but he said, "Oh, you're gonna love these guys," so I'm going.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean,
Yeah,
that
could
shit
be the
might
next Guns
change
N'
your life.
Roses. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think for me, it'd probably be Kiss, like
Heydays
78.
Kiss.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Heyday
I'd love
Kiss.
to see Heyday Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
That would be
God.
cool,
Yeah.
just to see the chaos that was that. I mean, even what would be probably wild a Beatles show in their prime. That would probably be
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, I saw the Rolling Stones a couple of years ago, and I was thinking like, "Oh, there'd be times where I'd be like, man, this would have been so much cooler in
Right, sure.
1976 or whatever." But I kept going back and forth because then I was still like, "God damn, like this band still sounds amazing."
Yeah,
Like,
they do sound great. It'd be funny if someone said, "Yo, oh, I'd go with Beethoven. I'd love to see Beethoven live." I mean,
that's
that
actually a great
that might
pick.
be fucking amazing. It'd be fucking cool as shit to see a prime Beethoven show.
Yeah. I wonder if people tailgated. I mean,
I
probably not
wonder
because there weren't tailgates,
if I
but
could be assured that I would not get murdered or looked at as someone that's obviously doesn't belong in that time. It might be a wild
true.
thing to see.
Yeah. Like, cause there were shows like, oh man, I can't remember his name. He did like something that was like the planets, something, a composer in like the
Hmm.
early 1800s. And there was like a full scale riot that like burned down some of like Vienna because of just like people couldn't handle his fucking violin playing, basically, which is incredible to think. But
That's cool. Yeah.
yeah, it would be very interesting to just go back and
See
see.
something like whatever the biggest musical act of 1727 was. It just would be a
Yeah.
wild
Yeah, like
go
Bach.
back in. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that would be cool as shit. Just to see something at the Coliseum. Go see that. Something
Yeah.
that would be wild. So
Oh,
not
yeah.
maybe not something as obvious as a huge metal band. Like go to
True.
something totally out of left field might be more interesting.
Yeah. What's a movie that most people like, but you hate?
Oh, we did this on there was a show, I don't even know if it's still around anymore, called Gutting the Sacred Cow, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
where you're supposed to take a movie that everybody loves and explain
Uh-huh.
why you hated it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And excuse me, I have hiccups.
Very good.
This will go into shows movies that you hate, but this is probably the most revered superhero movie, which is Endgame, which was the biggest
Okay.
grossing superhero movie. Everybody considers it the best of the
Yeah.
Marvel movies. I fucking hated it. I thought it was
Really?
so obviously trying to close storylines,
Mhm.
obviously trying to like button everything up, and so many things in it that made no fucking sense or forced stupid lines
Right,
that
right.
I did not enjoy it at all. I thought the one before Infinity War was great, and
Yes.
I when I watched Endgame, I actually was a friend of mine I would go see every superhero movie with. We
Mhm.
both hated it, and it actually disillusioned us enough from like I haven't really enjoyed a Marvel movie since, like which is probably eight
Yeah.
of them have come out since. Some of Spider Mans and the Doctor Stranges.
Mhm.
I fucking just it somehow pulled the veil back for me, and I just didn't enjoy them anymore. I just don't.
Yeah. That's man, I actually kinda liked
Did
Endgame.
you? I just felt like, for
Yeah.
instance, the example I've
I
given
know
is that
exactly what you mean, though. Like,
yeah,
I'm playing it in my head, like, yeah. Yeah, I
there
know
is a scene in the
exactly what
beginning where Thor chops off Thanos' head,
yes.
right? And Rocky the no, Rocky the raccoon, whatever his name is, little raccoon guy,
Rocket.
Rocket, yeah,
Close, yeah.
says to him, "What did you do?" Which is such a stupid line because you know what he did. You saw it happen, but he said that line
Yeah.
just so he could call back the line from the last movie was, "I went for the head," which is also dumb because nobody was around when
Right.
he said it to him in the first fucking film.
Ye
So it just felt so forced. I was like,
yeah.
well, that was just dumb.
Yeah.
And
Well,
does
I
tons of things like
yeah.
Captain America. If you believe the stupid time travel, like anytime you introduce time travel to me, it's always going to be time travel and aliens. It's probably not a great movie because it's an
Yeah.
easy out, for
Time
those
travel
reasons.
ruins
Yeah.
any movie to me.
And even if you want to believe the time travel that they spend fucking 10 minutes explaining in Endgame, Captain America shouldn't be there because when he went back,
Mhm.
he's on a separate fucking timeline. So they never explained how he got back to that timeline. And they know they fucked up because then they said, oh, that's another story to tell. They just didn't realize it, so
Yeah.
it just whatever it is. But it just
Yeah.
became hard to. I just did not enjoy that movie. And when the fucking kid from Iron Man 3 or 2 is in there in the funeral scene, they just put
Oh,
him in so
yes.
everybody looked it up at the end. Who's that kid? You know,
Yeah.
it just felt
Yeah.
so fucking forced, all of it.
Yeah. That damn. That is interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I could list like go I no
Yeah.
not to plug another podcast, but go
No,
listen.
keep going.
They said
Yeah.
it was the first time in the history of their show where those guys dropped their rating of the movie because I was so vehemently against it and brought up so many fucking reasons. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're probably right.
That's man. Yeah, that yeah, I hate that kind of shit. Like the forced I hate that and I hate any kind of sentimental like where it seems forced like
Poor sentiment. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Also, by the
yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah.
I'll be on board with your dumb time travel rules, but then stick to them. Like
Yes.
I'm willing to say, okay, I'll ride this stupid roller coaster with
Mhm.
you, but then you went off on a different path. I really fucking hated it.
Yeah. I just as a direct I mean, I hate Christopher Nolan movies, which
Yeah, I never really. I don't even
people
like. I know
really
the name. I know it's big budget nonsense and
yeah, I don't
big
give a
exp and I
Oppenheimer
don't mind
sucked,
it for
like,
the
I
it's
didn't like it.
popcorn nonsense is what it is.
Yes. Yes, like, I don't go Inception is dumb as hell. People are like, "Oh, you just don't get it."
Yeah, that's why I loved
Ah, I
when
get
South
it.
Park did that.
Yeah,
They really
yeah,
shit on it. It was really good. It was
yeah,
well
the
done.
Inception, the one
Yeah,
where
and
yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah.
just because it's complicated doesn't mean it's good. And just like his
Right.
other one, what was the dumb one?
Tenet?
Was it Tenant? Yeah, Tenant.
Well,
And
Tenet's a horrible
so the
that
line that really like, goes, "I'm gonna give you a word that's going to open up doors for you," and he says the word is tenant, right? I think it was tenant,
yeah,
right?
it's Tenet,
The
yeah.
the word never comes up again in the entire fucking movie. So why even have that scene?
Yeah. I think he made, Memento, which is good.
That's a good movie. That's a
Memento's
good movie.
very good,
Yeah,
but
enjoyed it.
after that, dang, fuck
And
off.
also, I don't need cinematic masterpiece. I like nonsense, but I just don't
Yes.
think yeah, Memento was great. But anyway, sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
no,
talk
no, no.
about that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the show just to ramble on about, about that. Yeah, but overall, like biggest, like you know, landmark movies, or whatever. The ones I hate the most are Star Wars. Hate them.
Oh, it's funny. I grew up watching them in the theater,
Yeah,
so it's very different reaction. I have a visceral reaction to remembering being in the theater,
yeah.
being blown away. A lot of my favorite comedies and movies, I feel like it's hard for someone new 30 years, 40 years
Mhm.
later when so many other things have come out. There's
Yeah.
very for things like that, comedy and sci-fi, specifically those kind of like big budgety,
Hmm.
they're gonna lose their luster because the like it's been diluted too much. It's hard to enjoy it now. It's
Yes.
different. Like a
Yeah.
really well scripted, well acted thing is going to hold up, but a
Right.
fun movie does. I mean, I use Airplane as a great example. Like that
Uh,
movie Airplane, I thought was the funniest movie I ever saw in my life. But nowadays, if you've grown up watching TV in America, you've
mhm.
heard a version of every one of those fucking jokes. So
Yes.
to you as a 30-year-old, like, well, I've heard none of it. It's fine. I've heard all these jokes.
Yeah.
But that was the first time those jokes were done. That's why it
Yeah.
was funny, you know?
Yeah. Airplane is one of my favorite movies
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I
ever.
love it so much.
You know that is it Robert Hayes? Robert Hayes, I think, the
Mhm.
main actor. You know that that was supposed to be David Letterman.
Wait,
Isn't that
so yeah,
and
no,
then
not
Caitlyn Jenner.
Robert Hayes. Yeah, is it Robert Hayes, the guy that plays the main guy? No, I don't think that's
Stryker.
you're right. Is
Stryker.
that his name, Robert Hayes? I
Yeah,
thought
it's
Hayes
Robert
was
Hayes.
okay. I don't know why I thought you're right. You might
I'm
be
talking about
right.
like the main guy, the
The
pilot.
main guy plays Stryker. Yeah, because I saw the Zucker brothers went on Letterman. You can see this on YouTube,
Mhm.
and they show the clip of Letterman reading the script of him
Yeah.
being in the hospital bed.
R
You
Damn.
could find that
I've
online. It's
never
on
seen that.
yeah.
I gotta
You
look
go
that up.
online and you could see the actual test script, test run, or
Mhm.
whatever, the daily of
Yeah.
Letterman reading that and trying to be the actor for that.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then his backup was Caitlyn Jenner, well, Bruce Jenner at the
Bruce
time.
Jenner, that's funny.
Yeah, which,
Yeah, Robert
would
Hayes
have
was
been
great. He was great in that
oh,
movie. He was
Robert
so
Hayes
good.
is amazing, and, of course, Leslie Nielsen, which that was
Yeah.
supposed to be Vincent Price,
Yeah, and
uh,
Leslie
and
Nielsen,
then
like, as a
Christopher
kid,
Lee.
I didn't know he was coming from super serious movies
Yes.
where he was usually, like, the bad guy or whatever. I just thought he was great deadpan. I didn't know his
Yes.
history because I
I
was
thought he was a comedic actor
yeah, because
until
I was
very
10 or 8,
pretty
whatever I
recent
was. I might have been younger. I know what year it came out, but,
yeah,
I just thought he
1980.
was
Yeah.
fucking brilliant. I was 10 if it came out in 80. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's see, like that, and then luckily, like, I just had people show me movies at a very young age. It's probably
Mhm,
why, like, I don't probably see them in the same way that most people that are, like, my age see them.
mhm.
Because I was, like, 6 when I watched, like, Young Frankenstein or
That's
something.
fine. Well, it's
So,
one of
like
my favorite movies of all time.
me
Yeah,
too. That's
yeah,
that probably top 5 favorite
yeah. I
movies.
got to see which my Blazing Saddles was played at,
Mhm.
Radio City Music Hall, like, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and, Mel Brooks came out afterwards and sat down and took questions from the audience for, like, a half hour. It was fucking great.
Jesus.
His
Uh,
book, if you've not read his autobiography, is
I haven't read
unbelievable,
it.
but I would say don't read it, get the fucking audiobook because he
Oh,
does voices and he tells it's
yeah,
broken down by he tells the first, like, 2 chapters is his life, and then, like, early on, and then each
mhm,
chapter after is a movie, a movie, a movie, like, and he breaks down everything that happened in each movie. It was fucking great.
yeah. My
And if you didn't see it, the Gene Wilder doc that just came out is
uh-huh.
brilliant.
Oh, Gene Wilder's, man, so incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the documentary recommended. It was
yeah,
great.
I have to check that out too. Just Mel Brooks is so
Wow,
interesting to me. Like, I mean, history. My favorite. I mean, I love Young Frankenstein, obviously, but probably my favorite Mel Brooks movie is History of the World Part One, which I
great.
think
Yeah.
most people like for some reason haven't seen. Like,
Oh, no,
it's
I think that, well, the one that did the
seem-
best, I think, financially is Spaceballs,
oh,
but,
for sure. Yeah,
the to me, everything up until Spaceballs I loved, and then after that, like, I liked Robin Hood Men in Tights enough,
yeah.
but
I
then
forgot
everything
he
else
did
was
that.
just fine, nothing. I walked out of, Dracula Dead and loving it. It
Oh,
just
that one's
wasn't good,
garbage. Yeah. What
but,
about? Do you like High Anxiety?
I love High Anxiety.
High
I
Anxiety is
love
a great movie
the
too.
Holy Trinity is Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and High Anxiety. Those 3
Yeah.
together are unbelievable,
Mhm.
because they're specific. They're a satire of a Western, a sci-fi, and
And
Alfred Hitchcock. They're
yes.
very specific to that, and, it's just fucking brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God, I gotta rewatch the is there I mean, that's huh. Man, now I'm just going through and redoing lines from The History of the World Part 1. It's
History is also great. I saw them all. I saw that's the If I'm not mistaken, that is the first one I saw in the theaters because I was old enough to see it in the theater.
really
That one. The others I was too young. I saw them on like VHS tapes, but
yeah.
that was the first one I saw in the theaters. I loved History of the World Part One. I didn't love so much the series they did a couple years
Oh,
ago.
no, that I hated it. I
A
was
couple of things that were somewhat funny.
yeah.
What's his name? The Indian guy, Kamal.
Kamal Nanjiani
Yeah, whatever.
yeah.
Him as the guy pitching the Kama Sutra, and
Yeah.
but it was like sex positions and
Yeah.
sandwiches or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a funny concept. And he's
Mhm.
like, "No, it's got to be both the soup, the sandwiches, and the sex." What was like that was kind of funny, but in
Yeah, it's
general, it wasn't that great.
yeah, I there's something about I think like I don't want us to just be that guy that's like, oh, rock and roll's dead, comedy's dead.
Mm.
But it kind of seems like comedic movies are just
Somewhat, but like for instance, like I would give another plug. Shane Gillis's new series, Tires, is
yes.
politically incorrect and pretty funny. Even
Mhm.
what's his name's Ted, Seth
Seth MacFarlane.
MacFarlane's reboot TV series
Oh, that
Ted,
was great.
inappropriate and
Yes.
funny. So there is hope. Even
Yeah.
the roast that just happened, inappropriate and
Mhm.
funny. So maybe that's somewhat leaking back in.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I just wish that like for a movie though. Like I mean, and I know I mean a lot of things are becoming more of
What's
like
the
a
one with
series
what's her
based
name? The
thing.
girl that was fuck. She played Mystique
Oh, you're
in
talking about Jennifer
X-Men.
Lawrence, No Hard
Yeah,
Feelings.
that movie she did recently was
Yeah.
inappropriate and funny. It just
Yeah.
wasn't great, but
Right.
it had a couple of at least it was like it was a inappropriate youth comedy,
Yes.
It
Yeah.
didn't hit all the marks as much as you'd like it to, but
Mhm.
the concept was good. It was like, "Oh, this is just a
Right.
inappropriate comedy."
And to do it with an A-list actress, which
Yeah,
kinda gives it,
and she got
a
naked. It
push.
wasn't her, but she got naked.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, like, movies like Stripes and, like, Caddyshack, like, I
Right.
wish, like, something like
Yeah,
that
even
would
like the
come.
ones I look at now that I think like Something About Mary was so
Yeah.
fucking funny.
Oh my
And,
god, yeah,
Dumb and Dumber, like, look at these
yeah.
movies
Those
that
are the same guys, right? Farrelly Brothers,
yeah,
did they make both?
Farley Brothers, yeah, they're
Farley
great,
Brothers,
great.
yeah.
There's a lot of those don't just a solid comedy. I don't remember the last time I saw one that I loved. You're right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it might be like Ted, like the original, like,
that's a good
Ted, I
one.
mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like and that's been fuck, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know, like, if I Googled the best comedy in the last 10 years, I don't know what it would be.
yeah. Oh god, who knows? I mean, it might be the damn Ghostbusters with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah, it might be.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, so I got a few just, like, random questions before,
Sure.
let you out here. Just let's see. Oh god, this has been actually way more divisive than I thought it would be. Do you watch movies with the closed captioning on? Like for
No, unless there's severe accents in them or something like sometimes like an English
okay.
actor. Like for instance, I just watched that TV series, The Gentleman, right?
Okay.
Which was pretty good. If you haven't seen
Mhm.
it, it's a Guy Ritchie TV series based
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the precursor to the movie, so to speak. But they have thick English accents. Some of their Cockney I couldn't get, so I
Yeah.
put it on. But in general, no, I watch on a big screen
Mhm.
and I'm fine. I don't. Thank God my hearing is still decent enough, and
Yes.
I don't. So I do not.
It bothers me so much when people watch movies with with the captioning on. Like
That's funny.
for if there's not like a reason to.
I'm
Like I
sure
know
there's a
people did.
reason why now people. And my thought process is that people don't watch movies at home anymore, and they're watching them in an iPad. They're watching them to
Mhm.
and from work, so they may not have their headphones connected, and it
Yeah.
just became a habit to leave the closed caption. I could be wrong, but that's my
Well,
guess.
that makes sense, and I think a lot of it's like I mean, just to go get into the weeds here, but like the mixing and mastering of the audio for like Netflix and stuff like that
Mhm.
is real shitty. Where like
Right, I agree with that too.
the dialogue is so small, and then if there's a gunshot, I mean, you may as well just fire off a
But you
357
can
if you're living
on
there.
new TVs these days, you can bring the vocals forward. There's a
Yeah,
way to do that. Yeah.
yeah. I think that has probably a little bit to do with. Do you sleep with the TV on or off?
Say again, do I sleep on? New York City, always have background noise. I need
Yeah.
background noise. It's difficult to go to sleep in silence, but I've been to like some fancy pants retreats or
Uh-huh.
like hotels that have no TVs in the bedroom, and I have a difficult time. I usually put my phone on like something that turns off
Mhm.
in an hour so that I have something to
Right.
fill up the empty space. And I also have like for years of working in from nightclubs and concerts and
Mhm.
strip clubs that I worked in for years. I have like slight tinnitus,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's hard to go to bed in silence. I hear that, so I just like having some background
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't my thoughts get too, weird if
noise.
there's nothing going on.
For me,
It
almost all the
yeah,
time in my house, Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show,
yeah,
South Park, one of those Bob's Burgers, one of those
mhm,
shows is playing on in the background, and I'll
yeah,
go to sleep to that
yeah.
generally.
I have, like, just, like, a handful of movies that are my go-to, like, that I've just seen. Like, Young Guns is number 1 on
Mhm.
there. Like, I've just seen it so many times that I don't have to pay attention to this shit, so I just
Right.
put it on and
Yeah, I like things that I don't if all of a sudden I'm lying in bed, I'm like, "Oh, what's going on here?" I don't want it to
yeah.
be, anything that's gonna attract attention to my brain.
Yes, yeah. That's yeah, I go
Mm.
Young Guns, Jurassic Park, like, anything like that. I mean, yeah, that's, man, that what movie scared you the most as a kid?
I mean, for sure, I was too young to see it. My
Mhm.
dad took us to see American Werewolf in London. I don't know what year that came out, but I think
81.
81 maybe. Yeah, so I was
Yeah, 81.
11, and I was goddamn terrified. And my father had to take us. My brother, I have a twin brother. My twin brother and I, we had to leave because he had to take us. It was fucking terrifying for an 11-year-old, and I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what I was in for. Like we didn't know it was going to be that. So it scared the
Yeah,
shit out of me.
because it's kind of a comedy, which
Right, but
throws
there
it
is
off.
some things for that an 11-year-old couldn't see. Plus, I think there was
Yeah.
nudity in it,
Oh, a
and there
lot,
was, like
yeah.
it was a little much for an 11-year-old, although hilariously, my grandmother took me to see Saturday Night Fever when I was, like, 7 or 8, and that has rape scenes and
Has all
nudity, but
kinds of
yeah,
stuff, yeah.
we saw naked tits, so we were thrilled.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've said a million times on here, but I used to watch, like, the IFC channel as a kid because it was, like, the best way to see boobs, and I've
Mhm,
seen some of the greatest movies ever made by doing that. Like, these,
that's
like,
funny.
low budget indie movies from, like, France and shit. I'm like, "These movies changed my life, and I was just trying
That's
to see a
fucking
pair of
hilarious.
tits."
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
See, kids can change the world, let that be a lesson to you kids.
they have for thousands of years, Lady
Mhm,
Godiva.
mhm.
Um, yeah, that's, for me, it was probably The Ring. The Ring came out whenever I was 7, and,
The
yes,
most horror
8.
movies now, they don't scare me. I don't know why. Just they're more silly to me.
Yes,
I've never like left a movie that's like supposed to be so scary and be like, oh my god, I got to keep the lights on. That's never fucking happened.
to me, if they ended 30 minutes earlier, then it would. But horror movies seem like they jump the shark so bad. like at the end of it, because it always adds in this horrible CGI, like this demon that looks
Mhm,
stupid, and it ruins it. Instead of just keeping it like the X. So my out of like top 5 favorite movies, Exorcist is in there,
mhm.
and it does it so perfect by never taking that next step.
Well, the best one I think is Alien, the first one, because you don't see the
Yes.
alien, even though it's sci-fi horror,
Oh, it's
and
yeah,
you never see the alien till the end of the movie. Like the tension is the whole movie. The
right.
whole movie is tension.
And even when you do see it, it's not like
Not
a
a clear
full
shot. It's
shot.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
yeah,
and it's animatronic, which
yeah,
makes a huge difference to
yeah,
me. I mean, I
yeah.
hate CGI. Like it I don't care how good of an actor you are. Nobody can act well with
Mhm,
CGI. And it
right.
yeah, that's damn. Dude, well, we're at the old hour mark. This has been I mean, this flew by pretty damn quick. I don't know if we really talked about anything, but we talked about a lot. So, which is kind of
Kind
the
of the point.
goal here.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah. But before you go, man, plug, promote
Sure.
anything you want. I know you got a lot to
I'll
do.
just
So,
I'll cut. So me everywhere is I am Ralph Sutton at I am Ralph Sutton. Unlike you, I'm really bad at social media. I only have like 17,000 followers. You have 500,000, but
uh,
is what it is. My podcast I have two. One is called the SDR Show. I do it with Big Jay Oakerson, who everybody loves, and
oh yeah.
that comes out twice a week. He's usually on one and not the other.
Mhm.
One with him is usually a little more silly, and the other one is more of an in-depth interview with a rock star or something like that. I don't even know who's on this next coming weeks, but we get some pretty good guests on that
Oh,
show.
you always have awesome guests,
Yeah, it's pretty
like,
wild. Yeah, we
so
get
good.
lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I do another show on health and wellness called Good Sugar, which I own a piece of a store. It's called the Good Sugar store on 3rd Avenue, 69th Street, New York City. It's all vegan food, no single use plastics. It's all about doing the right thing for the body and the environment. And we're all running a Spartan race in June. You could DM me on Instagram if you're in New York and you want to run with us. It's like $150, but you get in free if you run with us. And I
Hell
think
yeah.
about 40, 50 people are doing it with us. And that's June 22nd in New York City. And only because we talked about it earlier, my book, which I happen to have right
Mhm.
here, which is the 100% guaranteed guide to weight loss and fitness. There's only 4 words in it, but it'll change your life. And it was top 50 on Amazon. So I could say I'm a best selling author, which is fucking hilarious. And
Yeah.
of course, Gas Digital, you could use the code SDR14 and you'll get a 14-day free trial. There's 15, 20 shows on the network. Legion of Skanks, Michael Bisbing, a lot of great show. Dave Smith's part of the problem. A lot of great stuff on the network. And me and Luis J. Gomez are the partners. We are the G and the S in Gas, Gomez and Sutton. And that's everything.